Welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Shubda Chaudhary and I'm today here with you to discuss about what exactly are the ramifications of the change of the cabinet for Palestinian Authority and the Palestinians. This month, Palestine is also going to push for a permanent seat in UN. What are the ramifications of that? Thirdly, what is the entire result of the reshuffling of the cabinet, how it has been perceived by the locals? And lastly, what is the saying of Hamas or Israel or any other regional player that is involved in this entire cocktail of geopolitical tensions that are going on? So let us start with the first news, which is that in March, 21st of March, 24th of March, we came to know that Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, who has been ruling for almost 20 years, he's 88 years old, and after in February, the Prime Minister had resigned, Mohammed Sataya had resigned, he nominated Mohammed Mustafa as the new Prime Minister who will be taking care of the new cabinet. The new cabinet has many industrialists, even Armenian Palestinian, and many other dignitaries who worked with the Palestinian security forces and others. This kind of reshuffling of the cabinet is considered by many, like Kenneth Roth, who was the former executive director of Human Rights Watch, as just a certain kind of superficial analysis or change or a cosmetic change, because till the time Mahmoud Abbas does not leave, no real change will take place. There were elections supposed to happen in 2021, but they were indefinitely postponed because Mahmoud Abbas stated that Israel was not allowing East Jerusalem to participate in the election process. Now, what are the future aspirations of the new Prime Minister? Though we do not know the longevity of the cabinet, the current Prime Minister of PA is basically someone who has worked in the World Bank, someone who has been a US trained economist. Mohammed Mustafa has also worked with the governments of Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. He was also the eyes and ears of President Mahmoud Abbas. After 2006, when Hamas took control over Gaza, the Palestinian Authority was a little bit scared that maybe Hamas will infiltrate between other institutions of Palestinian Authority in West Bank also. Taking this into account, Mohammed Mustafa was made the head of the Palestinian Investment Fund. He was then, his stature was increased to the standard of the chairperson of PIF. In 2013, Mustafa wanted to be the prime minister, but he could not. There were rumors that there are certain allegations of corruption which are going by the West. One of the reasons that he couldn't. So there was a very interesting article that, if a Palestinian minister resigns, which basically is from the philosophical question that if there is a tree that falls in the forest and there's no one to hear it or see it, the tree really fall. Nevertheless, Mohammed Mustafa continued to be an asset for Mahmoud Abbas in the years to come. And he has a very strong networking with the West also, though one of the impediments that he has is that he lacks any kind of reconciliation or negotiation access within Hamas or Fatah. Now, that makes it very difficult because as soon as the cabinet was reshuffled, there were occurrences of strikes, demonstrations in West Bank, in refugee camps. And there was also a case where there were certain kinds of demonstrations and protests, violent protests, which broke between the PA and the West Bank Palestinians. So that was just the exact ramification one was expecting. Another thing which US right now is clearly stating is that what they have called as pay for slay program, which actually is the martyrs fund for Palestinians, in which the Palestinians who are imprisoned, killed, tortured in the Israeli jails, their families are compensated. It is very essential for them to continue with this kind of funding because any other form of work within the Israeli territory for Palestinians is limited. When the entire currency system and the economy of West Bank and Gaza are dominated by the Israeli currency shekel, then one can really wonder from the perspective of realism, liberalism, or even social constructivism, that how would the Palestinians survive? How would they even continue with the BDS movement? And how would they sustain their own lives when the sources of income are also very limited? Therefore, it is imperative to understand that what is called as a pay for slay program has an entire history that has created it. At the same time, the occupied territories in West Bank are also, especially after October 7, those who are living in the occupied territories of West Bank are being supplied with arms and ammunition by the regional council. One doesn't know from where the funding of it comes. A recent book that has been published on the lines of how much a dead Jew is worth should be contemplated from a humanistic perspective, from the lives of not just particular one person or one nationality or one religion, but the human life and in its essence in general. All of this is important because US has till 2025 now cut funding for UNRWA, the UN relief agency that is working in Gaza. Other countries in European Union and different other nations are trying to step up and fund it. Though there is no concrete evidence which Israel alleges that 12 of the UNRWA members were tied up in some way with Hamas during October 27th attack. The truth in the post-truth era is very difficult to divulge or even to understand or mitigate. Now we come to the final round, which is that Palestine is pushing for a membership in UN. Malta is the head for the UN Security Council. The debate will take place next week, specifically on Monday, as far as I believe. And it is very imperative to know that it can be vetoed by US. And if it is, what would be the outcome of it? For a very long time, Palestine has acted as a non-observer member state. So these are few challenges that are currently happening. The technocratic governance of Mustafa is something which is really much opted or wanted. But it is only with time that we'll come to know that was Mustafa just a mere scapegoat in this entire cosmetic change, if I might call it so. What would be the challenges further limiting the ceasefire? How long would the genocide continue? And what would be the impact on the militancy that evolves after the genocide? Thank you for watching me, hearing And if there have been any kind of mistakes, I apologize. Thank you for the privilege of your time. This is Dr. Shubda Chaudhary. Thank you.